Good morning, it's the FloorDaily.net, and I'm Kemp Harr. I'm at the NWFA and Covering Show in Orlando, Florida, and I'm with Bruce Zwicker. Bruce, how you doing?
Great, Kemp. Good to be here.
Let me first introduce you. Former CEO of Haynes and an industry consultant, and you've just recently ended a CEO for loan gig with Virginia Tile, right?
That's correct. I'm still on the board, but my CEO days at Virginia Tile are over.
We talked about it 6 weeks ago, and you warned us that there was a lot of investment money out there. Since then, in the last 6 weeks, we got great floors being purchased by ADG. We got Cali Bamboo being purchased by Victoria, a European publicly traded company. We got Mannington Commercial that's bought Atlas Maslin. We got DFS Flooring in L.A. buying Diversified in Salt Lake City. We got Stanton buying Cabin Carpets. We got Tarkett buying back stock as part of the DeConnick family control move. And we got Happy Floors merging with Ceramic Technique, right?
That's absolutely right. The merger, I think you'll find, is a prelude to another deal. So there's nothing been announced yet, but watch this space. I think we're going to continue to see more of these deals. There's owners who are making decisions to get out at the peak. There's a lot of money around, and there are people who are buying, assets maybe at a fairly good price, but they fit strategically, and it's good timing because there's still more room for this market to improve.
All right, so we're at Coverings, day one. We did run the news this morning that it's 140,000 net square feet, which is about 40% of the normal size of the show. People are here. They're in smaller booths, and they're expecting 8,000 to 10,000 people here, and they've got 325 exhibitors. What are you hearing out there?
So in talking with people, everyone knows it's a lot smaller than it was. I've heard estimates it's 15% smaller. Obviously, it's not floor space-wise. The attendance is, in some people's opinions, a little better than they thought. Not great, but it's just good to have the show, at least to get it going. The Italians are not well represented, which, there's a lot of reasons for that. Getting all the containers with all the things over here to set up, you have to do that way in advance. You don't know if the show's going to happen. You can't get people into this country unless they're doing something like quarantining in Mexico, wink, wink, and then getting into the U.S. Spain's here, but in a much smaller sense. India's not here. So it's good that it's going on. It seems like a reasonable amount of participation, but obviously a lot smaller than it normally would be.
Another factor with the Italians is they've got that Tresai show in Bologna, and that's scheduled for the end of September, and so they're probably going to keep their powder dry and have a big show there. I've heard it's going to be in 15 halls, and they anticipate, even with this Delta variant, that they're going to have a full-size show, so it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, well, none of us know exactly what September on is going to look like over in Europe relative to being able to travel and what's going to happen. The thing I'm curious about is what's going to happen with this show, and maybe I haven't spoken with Michael Martin at the NWFA, if this is going to be a permanent thing or it's a 1 year. Is it April? Is it July? I think it was a great idea to pull them together.
I do too. I hope they continue to work together. I think it works pretty well. They're going to have to probably change their format a little because you and I know that today was an all-day covering show. This afternoon or this evening is their normal NWFA meeting kickoff, and then the expo starts tomorrow. Maybe they can better align that so the expos are going on at the same time. But it is good to have everybody here. Now, if you're a retailer or a distributor, it's a better bang for the buck to come down to Orlando and see two shows, right?
Absolutely, and take your family to Disney World. Yeah, exactly. Except for the hurricane.
Yeah. Well, we just got a little rain, right?
Yeah, it's just raining here.
All right, so I want to talk to you. You've just recently been part of a presentation talking about the European consumer and how their flooring purchasing trends as far as what surface they like varies from the American consumer. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I'm working with actually two different groups in Europe, and we'll be at their conferences. One's in Vienna in November, one's in Berlin in December. But the one that you're referencing is a group called Interconnect, and they do research there in Belgium. And they did a very vast study, but the part that was announced in the press conference was about Germany. So they did a very detailed analysis of what are the preferences by room of floor covering type. And as you and I talked about, there's some very distinct differences between Europe in general, and every country is a little bit different. So in Germany, tile has got a very safe spot. You know, the LVT is eating into tile over here. I don't see that going on over there as near as I can tell. Carpet is on the wane, as it is here. Laminate, as we all know, laminate is very strong in Europe. Is one of the most preferred flooring. What's interesting is the LVT in all of Europe hasn't gone in terms of market penetration as strongly as it has over here by far. But I see signs, as I've watched it over the last 3-4 years, that is coming. Some people still refer to it as plastic floors. Some try to refer to it as design floors to make it sound a little bit more luxury-like. But I do think, although the penetration is slower, it's coming.
Okay, so what you're saying is that Germans have been slower to adapt to LVT, but you think that they'll see some penetration there. But I've heard that it probably won't be the share percentage that we've had here.
No, I don't think so. The other interesting thing is, one of the parts of this study was, well, why would you change? What are you looking for, right? And you'd see the normal things we would see here. But the one that was emerging was waterproof. They called it humidity. So this notion of waterproof is important to a consumer seems to be on the rise. And if you recall, that was one of the big things over here that drove a lot of the LVT and a lot of other kinds of floor covering claiming waterproof, which we know is waterproof is not exactly the right term.
Yeah, I've said in 2 presentations here, the tile market is still saying that they're really the only waterproof floor. So, that battle continues. The Germans also have a little bit more of a Mother Earth perspective, and so I think that's always going to rule when it comes to, they like parquet, which is what they call wood floor, and they like tile, which is baked dirt. So I don't think those 2 categories are going to lose the share of market in Germany as they have here.
Oh, I absolutely agree, particularly about the 2 things you mentioned. They do have a preference for quality and longevity, and so tile and wood really fit that. So I think those 2 product categories are more secure over there relative to the LVT. I think it's carpet and some laminate that would be at risk over there.
All right, Bruce, great to catch up with you. Where are you off to next?
See, we have a virtual conference, Polymers and Flooring, in September, but the next trip will be to, Vienna in November, and then we've got the NAFCD.
That's right, and I've got to present at CARE, and I'm also presenting at the RFCI, so I've got those 2 meetings to do.
Oh, and Dean Thompson's on the virtual conference that we have in September, along with Harlan Stone and some CFL as well.
All right, Bruce, great to catch up. Again, been talking to Bruce Zwicker, an industry consultant, and you've been listening to Kemp Harr and FloorDaily.net.